It's Tuesday evening and it's just past 6 p.m. UK time. This is the Spiritual Discussion Program, and I'm South in Southeast London, and with me is Gregory, as usual. Gregory, how are you and how is the weather where you are?
Well, it's fine, and the weather has improved a little bit.
Okay, same here. It's getting warmer. I think we are in double figures. Um, so yes, I know, and it's still January, so it's a bit unusual. But as you can say, it's welcome as well. So, dear listeners, as I said, this is Bless Radio, and this is a spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abrushin. And we have a new topic for discussion every week. The topic tonight is Let Your Spirit Awaken. Let your spirit awaken. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one more way you can contact us, which is to go to the website where we are broadcasting. And there's the website is blessradio1. That's the number one.com. And if you scroll down the homepage, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. And you can communicate any message of questions or comments through there as well. I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Abrushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life, for through the knowledge mediated, the readers again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover through the intuitive perception if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Abrushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail Message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace, if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic we're discussing tonight is let your spirit awaken. Let your spirit awaken. If you have any questions or comments, please contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Now, Gregory, you know I like to look in the dictionary for the meaning of the words in the topic. So again, the topic is let your spirit awaken. I didn't bother to look at the word let or your, because I think it's quite clear. So I begin with the word spirit. And in the dictionary, they give us 2 meanings. First one, it is the non-physical part of a person, which is the seat of emotions and character, the soul. And they do give an example of this meaning of the word. We seek a harmony between body and spirit. So let me just repeat that meaning there for the word spirit. The non-physical part of a person, which is the seat of emotions and character, the soul. What do you say about this definition, Gregory?
Well, thanks for bringing this up. As with everything, you'll find the dictionary only collates impressions which have been put out there to describe something. And precisely that's what he's done. So there is the non-physical part, but that non-physical part, the features that belong to it have not been discussed. So it is the features, the capabilities of the spirit that should define for us what the spirit is. Else, you will find that it will be descriptions upon descriptions, but does not arrive at the essence, which essence is of vital importance in the definition.
Thank you, Gregory, for this answer. You're saying this definition does not arrive, because it is a description, it doesn't arrive at the vital essence of this word. So can you give a better meaning for the word spirit, which is appropriate for our discussion?
As will be found, the discussion, that is of spirit, must be considered within a framework. Which framework is that of nature, or above that, that of creation? For that which is referred to as creation, the inhabitants were created or were developed. Therefore, when spirit is mentioned and is also considered as non-material, that is right. But it must be considered in terms of a spark. That spark which is capable of cultivating the virtues, which spark transcends the physical body, but uses the physical body as an instrument in order to gather impression for experiencing.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for that very precise definition. And we're going to explore what you've said there further in the discussion. So what I would like to do now, in fact, there was a second meaning for the word second meaning for the word spirit in the dictionary, and I'll just say it out to you, Gregory, and if you can just say if it's suitable for our discussion or not, or whatever comment you want to put there. So this is another meaning for the word spirit. It says the prevailing or typical quality, mood, or attitude of a person, group, or a period of time. And the example they give for this particular definition is, I hope the team will build on this spirit of confidence. So, Gregory, is that, how appropriate is that meaning?
Such as you yourself just read out are adverbs. Adverbs, that is something which qualifies a verb. So you find that the word spirit, the way it has been described there, is only used in a particular setting to describe that which the spirit is capable of. And you mentioned, was it diligence or modesty? I can't remember the word you used there. Because from there, one could pick up some form of virtue which needs cultivation. So to some extent, one can find grains of facts as appertain to spirit.
Thank you for that answer there, Gregory. Yeah, I mean, that as usual, everything has to be looked at in the right context. So you gave the example, that was an adverb for that definition there. And again, what I will say, we will explore this further as we go along in our discussion. So, and just people who are listening, listeners, so just the topic is let your spirit awaken. So this is in reference to us human beings. So our spirit is what we're referring to here. And the last definition of spirit was more of just to say what the definition was, the prevailing or typical quality, mood, or attitude of a person. So that's, that's one, you could say, different, how can I put it? It's a different area in a way, but we'll continue, and as we go, and things will become clearer. So, as I said, the other topic is let your spirit awaken. So the other word there, the last word, is awaken. So Gregory, I want to again go through the meaning that is given in the dictionary and see, what it is, how good it is. So that says, awaken, rouse from sleep or cause to stop sleeping. So Gregory, is that any, how can I say, appropriate for our discussion?
Such, again, as you mentioned, only is a pointer which describes what the scenario or the context is, but hasn't gone far enough to present a comprehensive scenario of what it is supposed to be. You're on mute.
Thank you, Gregory. Apologies, listeners. I was on mute, as Gregory said, and I was talking while I was on mute and you couldn't hear me. So thanks again, Gregory, for your answer. And what I wanted to say is, as we go in this discussion further, things will become clearer. So what I felt, Gregory, when we were going through these dictionary meanings, they weren't really, they were just slightly touching on what we want to talk about rather than hitting the nail on the head, as they say. So then I thought, okay, why don't I look up in Google just the word spiritual awakening? What does that mean? It may not be directly connected with what the topic is, but let's see. So that's what I did, and there I got this. I found this. So you could say, well, yeah, the meaning of spiritual awakening. This refers to our connection with other human beings, living beings, and the natural world. In a spiritual awakening, we gain a more intense connection. We feel an intense sense of empathy. Okay, somehow that's where I ended. So apologies for not, I don't know, somehow it's not a complete sentence, but I will just say empathy and an intense sense. It just says intense sense. So, but I'm not quite sure that's a complete. So let me just repeat that, Gregory. Spiritual awakening. This refers to our connection with other human beings, living beings, and the natural world. In a spiritual awakening, we gain a more intense connection. I'm just going to stop at that one. So, Gregory, is that definition useful for our discussion?
Again, these are descriptions of different parts, but it is not still deep enough. One cannot use that as a definition of what you are talking about. It's still not strong enough.
Thanks for that, Gregory. So let's go and try to make sense of these things. So we are saying, let your spirit awaken. Now, when you look at that sentence, it seems it's a part of us. And now let's look at, Gregory, that we are on this earth. We have a body, we human beings, and in the body we have the brain, which you can also maybe say our mind is residing there. Maybe that's it feels that way. And then we have our five senses, and obviously we have all the body parts. And then you think, okay, what is the spirit then? What part is the spirit? So, you know, so Gregory, can you put that in this context of the human being on the earth? Where is this, where does the spirit fit in?
At the commencement of the discussion, there is the mention, or one referred to, the spark. That spark which has the capability to cultivate the virtues. And that spark which transcends the human body. What you yourself just discussed is basically the human body. Therefore, one would not say that is of spirit. However, that which is of spirit makes use of the body. That is basically the vibrations of that spark, of that entity spark, must, one way or the other, resonates with the vibrations of the body. Only in such a way can impressions be transferred from the spark to the body, or impressions be transferred from the body back to the spark, which spark is capable of using these impressions to mature. The maturity which is referred to are the talents which has been sown into that spark, such that that spark is capable of becoming self-conscious. It is that spark itself that counts. It is that spark which must become self-conscious, which must be awake. For the body is only a tool which the spirit uses to experience in these parts of nature or here on earth.
Thank you very much for this, I can say, detailed picture there, Gregory, of the spirit. And you say it is a spark, spirit is a spark. And I'm just, in my mind, when you think of the word spark, it comes like a fire. The image is like as if there's a fire, sort of, and I'm thinking, okay, does it, this spirit or spark, is it, how can I say, does it reside within the body? Or is it somehow outside of the body? And I think you also mentioned that the body is basically a tool So if you can just give us a bit more understanding about this, please.
Strictly speaking, the language to reside inside the body presents an impression that this spark is an integral part of the physical body or the body. That is not the case and could not be the case. However, in its vibration, the spark is able to send strong impressions to the body. That means the body is able to receive these impressions, and the physical body also is able to send impressions which this spark can pick up. So you have a scenario where there is a harmonious balance of radiations between the spark and the body. And because it is a harmonious exchange of radiation, the picture might present itself that the spirit is inside the body. One may talk of something being inside, like when you have a house, a house that the feature of this house is of the same species of like matter. So you find that one can be inside the house or one can be outside the house. If one is inside the house, then unless there's an opening, the personality cannot walk outside. So this is the picture you have for being inside or outside. But in the case of the spirit resonates. That means radiations are sent from the spirit to the body and from the body back to the spirit. But that does not mean that the spirit is inside the body. The language is used in such a way just to give a conception. But strictly speaking, the spirit is not inside the body, but outside of it, although there are other bodies which resonate with the spirit. These become the intermediaries through which the spirit communicates with the physical body.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer. What I can get from what you're saying is there seems to be a connection between the spirit and the body. Actually, before I ask any further questions, I just realized I should let listeners know what they're listening to. So I won't continue just straight away yet. So, dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushin. And if you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is let your spirit awaken. Let your spirit awaken. So if you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's another way you can contact us, which is to go to the website where we are broadcasting, which is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. Scroll down the home page and you'll come to a box called Bless Chat. And you can communicate to us through the Bless Chat with any questions or comments. And as I said, we are broadcasting on blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. You can listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again that's the number 1, space Grail Message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is let your spirit awaken. And of course, you can listen to our recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM / Bless Radio 1. Again, that's the number 1. So Gregory, in our first half an hour, we've been introducing this concept of the human, the spirit, which is with human spirit, we're going to call it, because this is all about human beings. This is our shows are always mostly about human beings. So we are saying, let your spirit awaken, and the human being spirit. And then we came to this understanding that the spirit doesn't live inside the body, the human body on this earth. It is sort of outside, but it's connected. Well, I think we were going to explore that actually. It communicates to the body, and so there must be some connection, to allow it to communicate. And so Gregory, I was thinking, how does it communicate? Is it like, for example, we have talked in the shows in the past that I'm in London and you're in another place, and we are using, let's say, through our either mobile or laptop, through the internet, basically, we are able to connect together and then broadcast to the world through Bless Radio. So this is how we are communicating together. So we are sitting in different places. And so can you please say, Gregory, about the spirit, how it communicates to the body. What connection is there that makes it, yeah, and how does it communicate?
Although it has been mentioned already that the vibratory radiations from the spirit, these radiations have an impact on the body, and the body, because it's also in a vibratory mood, once you have that there is resonance, then the physical body is able to absorb of these vibrations. These vibrations are to a large extent called one's intuitions. It is these intuitions or these intuitive impressions which have an impact on the back brain, which are then transmitted to the frontal brain if the human personality does not involve in excess activities, which excess activities are that of the frontal brain, which subsequently distorts that which has been impacted to it. When these vibrations are faithfully transmitted to the frontal brain is then in a position to modify it such that these vibrations can be expressed in words or in different sounds, or these vibrations can be expressed using the five senses which nature has granted the individual to experience. These five senses are there to partake in transmitting outside, or one can say these are outbound activities, and subsequently the five senses, like we are discussing now, one can listen to a discussion that becomes inbound, and these inbound impressions, which have an impact on the five senses, are transmitted from the frontal brain to the back brain, and from there communicated through the spirit. That is the path of the vibrations which the spirit communicates across. There are some other organs which are involved, but this is the basic picture that one has. If you have that there is a faithful communication between the back brain and the frontal brain, or between the frontal brain and the back brain, then that which had been communicated is vivid, and the spirit that receives these inbound impressions uses these inbound impressions to mature. That means it's able to use these inbound impressions to cultivate its maturity in the form of virtues.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer and picture you've painted there. So we are seeing how the spirit works, with the body and communicates through the body, and the vibrations is how you can say is the way it works, and then the body also vibrates. So this is, you can have a picture of that. Now, and maybe we should make another thing clear, Gregory, that the spirit, let me say it another way, Gregory. Is it the spirit that controls the body? And you could, maybe I could say, give life to the body. Last week we talked about earthly grave and cremation. So we know that the spirit, if something happens to the body, the spirit also connects with that, or feels that pain, let's say, or whatever it is that the body feels, the spirit also feels it. So my question is, so yeah, is the spirit controlling the body, Gregory? And it's feeling, and it's a two-way communication, isn't it? We've already said that. So, but the question really is the spirit in charge, running this body, making it alive, let's say?
The spirit animates the body. That word control, one is not sure if that's the best expression for it. But through the specific activities of the spirit, it animates the body. It means, therefore, that the body must be of a certain unique vibration to be able to receive of these impressions. If these impressions do not come anymore, or there is a disconnection between the vibrations of the spirit and the vibrations of the physical body, that disconnection is referred to as death. So the vibrations of the spirit have an impact of animating the physical body.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for that answer. Now I want to look at, what we've given or stated here may be very new for people to hear about. So that's why sometimes I repeat the questions, or not repeat the question, but somehow ask things which need answers which you have already given, but it's good to have that, so we get to, how can I say, practice it more for our understanding. Now, you're saying, let your spirit awaken, which means the spirit must have been sleeping, or it implies the spirit was sleeping before. It had to be now that it needs to awaken. And so let's get that also in context. when a human being is born, a baby, is that human being, I'm trying to understand this awakening. Are we sleeping as a spirit in that situation? Or can you give, let's say, if that's not the case, can you give the bigger context of this? What is a sleeping spirit?
That spirit which is asleep, to put it in the context of sleeping, it's that entity or that spark which is not making enough effort to cultivate those talents which has been sown into it. Therefore, it is in a state where it is not capable of recognition. So, the spirit being awake is only a metaphor for the spirit which is capable of recognition. When one observes objects, processes in nature, one is able to use the five senses. One is able to see, to smell, to taste, to hear. So, in that sense, the physical tools that the body has they are functioning. The impressions from the outside, these senses are able to identify these impressions, the impressions of light, the impressions of sound, of smell, of taste, of touch. These senses, they can. It is these impressions which are then sent retroactively back to the spirit to make use of. In the process of picking up these impressions via one's intuition, the spirit makes use of it to cultivate the virtues. Which virtues are intrinsic features which have been sown into it for it to cultivate. Basically, it only means that the spirit is able to use its features to help in its recognition. So it is the recognition of all the level of recognition that is what is really meant by being awake. For when you have the scenario where the spirit cultivates compassion, that is a form of recognition because it has been placed in a scenario which forces it, which engenders it to cultivate compassion. It also happened in the case of wisdom, of vigilance and alertness, of gratefulness, of modesty, of diligence. These are the features which the human spirit is supposed to cultivate. That's the cultivation of these features enables the human personality to understand the motive, the driving force, the features which lies behind all these impressions that has been gathered. In doing that, is able to make use of it for its maturity. Then and only then is it awake. Else, it is still asleep.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for again building this picture about, you know, the spirit and its activity in being asleep or awake. And so basically it's a metaphor, like you say, to get us, the spirit, to activate itself, to use its abilities and, you know, to do, how can I say, develop and come to you, how can I say, it's about the virtues, you know, developing these virtues. The virtues are there really, but we have to, you could say, practice, put it into practice and in our life, you know, so that we are, how can I say, do it in a, I was going to use the word automatically, but that sounds a little bit robotic. So I don't want to say that. It might, because we also know the journey of the spirit is start as unconscious, and the aim is to become self-conscious. So that is not anything robotic there. That's a real experience. It is about experiencing life. You know, that's the journey from becoming unconscious to self-conscious for a spirit. So let's go there, look at that further, Gregory. Now, on this earth, Gregory, we have, people are brought up in a, you could say, society, in a family, in a community, and these communities or family have, let's say, traditions, beliefs, culture, you know, so they follow these things which were, let's say, I was going to use the word invented, that they were there already there before, let's say, so your parents and their parents followed that, and so on and so on. So it keeps building like that, you know, and through that we have, as I say, our traditions, habits, beliefs, you know, a religion, some people follow religion, and so on, or let's call them ideas and practices. And as I said, that can be each community or country can have their own, I was going to use the word style, of their, you know, that they follow. So this is how you could say the human beings continue in their development and so on. Now, the way you have been talking up till now, Gregory, it seems to be an individual sort of journey. But as you know, we don't live in no person is living in a vacuum. We're living with our parents and others around us. So you could say, learn from them. And so I'm wondering now, yes, of course, we also, again, we haven't covered this today, but we also know as a spirit, we have this quality or characteristic of free will. So we don't have to follow something just because somebody brought us up in a particular way or told us something. We don't have to, but in general, to fit in, you can say we seem to do that. Maybe we even agree with it anyway. So that's why we do that. So what my question is on this in this point now. So when we are brought up, Gregory, with a particular system, if I can say, of belief and tradition and practices and ideas, how are we meant to, do we just accept that in general, or, yeah, because that's only the system, and if we try to fight, we will have trouble in our life. So what I want to understand, Gregory, is in terms of spiritual awakening, when there's something is set already, how is our spiritual awakening, how can I say, is it, how can I say, is it restricted through the existing system? Because up till now we were just talking about as an individual, but we are not individual on our own. We are with a community and people. So is there some restrictions, some difficulties that you face when you are in a system with other humans? Or can we, find a way to be individual, and have our own, I don't want to say system, but our own ideas and our own ways?
The first task a human or an individual has is to examine or weigh that which has been passed on to it. A very simple example is one is permitted of the five senses at birth. Therefore, it is incumbent on the person who has been opportuned with these five senses to make use of these senses to enable it, the personality, to weigh issues and to examine issues. It is this weighing and the examination of issues that he or she is responsible for, to enable it to come to a final conclusion, or to enable it to know the motive behind an activity. That means if you yourself do not weigh, if you yourself do not examine, not only in your thoughts, but also in your intuition, if you do not engage in these processes in that way, then you cannot move from the position of cognition, which is that which you have perceived, which are just out there, to a position of recognition. That means the individual needs to know what lies behind it. What sublime process, what other sublime activities lie behind that which he or she is able to use for its activities here on the earth. You see nature, you see plants, you see the environment. You are compelled to reflect on it if you need to understand it better. So The process of awakening is a continuous process of moving from cognition to recognition. Therefore, even that which has been passed on to you from parents, from school, from whatever it is, these become the challenges which you must contend with. Only in such a way can one make progress spiritually. Else, he remains a sounding brass, devoid of real knowledge. Only when the individual investigates further will he or she, through his efforts, make progress. Else, he remains in the same place.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer. I want to ask you a bit more about it in a moment. I just want to let the listeners know you're listening to Bless Radio. It's a Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdrushin. If you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And as I said, this is a spiritual discussion program. The topic we are discussing tonight is Let Your Spirit Awaken. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's another way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, which is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. And there, if you scroll down, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. And there you can type in your message with any questions or comments. As I mentioned, we are broadcasting on blessradio1.com, and you can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. And then you can listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is Let Your Spirit Awaken. And of course, you can listen to our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM / Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1. Now, Gregory, we've been talking, how a human individual personality, is developing And you know, in a society then or community, and then which has already got established ideas and practices. So obviously each person thinks differently and acts differently. And first they obviously what I wanted to say, Gregory, is uh, maybe people may not agree with this, but like they're indoctrinated. I mean, when you're a child, you don't get much choice. You are brought up whatever your parents or guardians, bring you up with, and that's what you follow. And then as you become adult, you're allowed the freedom to choose, yes, go your own way. Some places it may not be so simple, free as that, but in general, that's what happens. But then, Gregory, you've been, as I say, indoctrinated in that particular system for some time. And now you're supposedly become free adult, whatever age that is, and then having to experience the world by yourself even, and then thinking, oh, maybe my parents weren't telling me what I think is good for me. Maybe it's good for them, but not for me. So, I guess that's also learning. That's part of the learning, you can say. Now, I'm just thinking, but let's explore that, Gregory. This way we learn as children, do this, don't do that. There's the do's and don'ts, you can say. They're meant to give you discipline, and but then so that's as a child. Then also in the religions or spiritual teachings, there's also practices of do's and don'ts. Don't lie, don't steal, tell the truth, uh, don't kill, and such things, and many other things, even certain practices, you can say, being polite and respect and so on and so on. So these are, you could say, all good things that people are brought up in. And Gregory, you were mentioning earlier about these virtues. So it seems to align with that, where you are disciplining yourself, in this way. So it sounds a good thing. Now, so maybe I'll start with this, Gregory. So would you say at this stage, with this type of, I can say, I will not say the word indoctrination, but this way of growing and learning, would you say that is a good experience for the spirit, to go through that? And, is that a way for it has to develop?
First, some facts must be realized, must be accepted. Parents or teachers can only offer to you that which they have, not that which they do not have. Even if that which they have is in error, they still offer it to you. It is now for the individual, the case of a child whose parents are not of the medical profession. The parents are able to offer to this child the bit of knowledge which they have. The same thing with the schools at the initial stages. They offer what they have. Subsequently, to make progress, to broaden your knowledge, there is the further seeking, which further seeking manifests in the way of first examining that which you yourself have accepted, passed on to you from parents or schools. In that manner, these which have been challenges to you, you are able to articulate them more consistently, and this grants you confidence. So, in confidence and in further experiencing, one then builds up courage along the line. So it is not right, or it's an error to say you were indoctrinated, because you yourself had to accept that which they could offer to you, not that which they could not offer, because they lack the necessary knowledge. And just as you yourself cannot offer to another that which you yourself lack. So when one then considers this, that there is the drive within the individual to expand their knowledge, in that case, they keep searching, they keep seeking. Even if they seek in the wrong direction, it is still seeking of the human personality, because it encounters further challenges, which challenges may be sweet, which challenges may be pleasurable or unpleasurable, but it needs to move further in order to have a holistic view of what lies behind it. Means it wishes to have a recognition. That drive is always there. That drive, you do not expect it from a stone or the vegetation or even an animal striving to say they want to read a book or they wish to compose music. So one can already see that accepting what has been passed on to you and further examining it becomes progress. Because that drive to examine and to weigh only is a proof that the human personality needs to expand its knowledge to gain better recognition and to ensure it's able to use that which it has then recognized in that process as a framework upon which to build further. If it neglects to do this, then it's unable to make progress, while others who do that will abandon him or her in the state which the human personality has now abandoned itself. So you have the case where parents offer you the little they have. Be grateful to them that they offered something. It is now left for the individual to seek further. After all, that is why people, they move out of their homes to learn a skill, whether that skill is the case of the arts or the sciences or technology. It all amounts to the same, that the human personality proceeds from its initial state and wishes to experience. So, in the process of doing that, it moves from that which is cognitive. Cognitive are the processes which it observes, the objects which it observes, how they interact. It passes this information, these outward expressions, transforms it in the brain to an inward impression. It is these impressions, in its vibrations, that are directed at the spirit. Which spirit? Which is the living spark, which is really capable of recognition. It is these impressions that the spirits hold on to for its maturity. For the human body is only a tool, but the spark, that spark which is of spirit, which is capable of recognition, which is capable of cultivating these talents, that personality makes use of this. That is what it's all about. So, no matter the situation, no matter the challenge that the human personality has now encountered, it is forced through deep reflection, through inner struggles, to grasp aright that which lies behind these impressions, that which has initiated these impressions, such that it may, in its further activities, avoid those impressions which may bring it sadness. Then, subsequently, it may recognize that sadness will beget sadness, whereas joy will initiate joy. And before too long, these impressions will so much be satiated within the spirit that it uses them not only in this earth life, but in the beyond, or when it reincarnates in another body in a different earth life.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this, again, you could say detailed picture and answer, about the functioning of, you could say, the spirit and with its body, and what is clear is you need to have a healthy body and healthy sort of interaction, to be able to use your faculties, the five senses, the intuition, which is, you can say, the voice of the spirit, which works with the body to communicate, and But in this world of today, Gregory, we hear stories of things that have been children. Let's say the parents are bringing up some children, and the children are misbehaving, or so it appears, and then after some time, something that was undiagnosed becomes diagnosed, such as these mental issues, or well, I'll use. So there's so many words, or how can I say? Uh, yeah, I'm going to say they're not words, but the way they give that description of what the person's going through, their condition, let's say. So there's, for example, this ADHD, which I don't even know exactly the word meaning of what the word stands for, uh, but autism, you know, um, and there's quite a lot of branches of these sort of conditions, mental conditions, let's say, and of course, it not only affects children, it affects adults as well. But the problems start when they're young, and seems to be quite commonly found in today's world. Let's say 20, 30 years ago, people would just not ignore this, just consider the child to be a bad person or something. But now, when these things are diagnosed, they realize, oh, it's just the person doesn't respond, the child doesn't respond because he's not capable of it, in that, which I don't want to use the word normal child, but that a child doesn't have those conditions. And so, of course, it's no surprise that the parent is putting so much effort, but the child is not able to respond according to what they expect. But once they realize, oh, he has this condition, then things become, uh, not exactly easier, but at least they know what to do about it. Maybe they have to give the person more time, or only when the person is ready to learn, only then they can teach, and things like that. So the point of that, talking about this, Gregory, was that we know that we are a spirit personality, uh, who is connected, or through vibration is able to operate this physical body, the human body, on this earth. But then there's other aspects of the body, if they're not either healthy or they have some mental issues, like I just mentioned. I'm wondering, can the spirit still operate effectively with these, let's call it, well, in the old days they would call it handicaps, but limitations, or is the spirit even able to lift, um, you know, overcome, let's say, um, these limitations or restrictions?
In the discussions, on the one hand, there is the spirit spark, which is capable of being awake, which is capable of cultivating the virtues, and through its radiations, is able to communicate with the body of flesh and blood. However, for the communication to take place, the body itself must be vibrating at a rate which is capable of harmonizing with that of the radiations of the spirit. So it's a two-way thing. There's that of the spirit to the body, there's that of the body to the spirit. The cases of illnesses, such as you just mentioned, that occurs when an imbalance arises. An imbalance in the case of insufficiency, most of the time, of the, of the physical body which the spirit uses. So when there is that insufficiency, that means there is no balance. And this imbalance is expressed or pressed out as an inadequacy in which you have cases of cancer or mental issues or something. These only are expressions of that insufficiency. It is the task of many a medical personality to investigate this. So it is not that because the spirit is there, everything is going on well. No. At the same time, it must be recalled that the human personality living on earth today in this physical body had interactions in the past, not of this physical body. And in accordance with the laws of creation, the laws of nature, through which this personality came into existence as a human spirit spark, which spirit spark makes use of this physical body prepared for it through the womb of its mother. In accordance with these laws, there is a reciprocal activity. A reciprocal activity which has been recognized in motion. For motion itself is a law in creation. Even the radiations being mentioned, they are in motion. So it is ubiquitous. And in this motion, in which the human personality has given rise to a cause, there is subsequently an effect for that which the human spirit has sown. Subsequently, he or she is to reap the fruits of his activities. So you do have that the human personality on earth, as he or she experiences in his daily life, there are returns, which returns are impressions which have been put into creation. There is the need for the personality to taste of it and enjoy the fruits of his labor. If the fruits of the labor are unpleasant, which in that case brings what he himself had sown in the past, then this has an impact not only on the impressions, but also in some cases help in preparing his environment around it, because he himself or herself identified with these returns. That means it hasn't made any changes to its own inner attitude. And therefore, will contribute to the returns which now strike it. Therefore, it is of importance that the human personality must acquaint itself with these processes. Hence, it is said awake, for it is the human spirit which should be awake. It is the human personality which should come to a recognition of these activities so as to align itself with such activities which will enable it to develop these virtues which has been sown into it aright, such that when it has matured to such an extent and knows how to conduct itself in its inner attitude, then he or she becomes a useful tool who is able to assist other personalities who have just started their journey from their home in the paradise of man.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for this explanation and answer. I've got another question on this point to ask you. But before I do that, I just want to let listeners know you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Upcrushing. And if you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, that's Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is Let Your Spirit Awaken. Let Your Spirit Awaken. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's another way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. Scroll down the homepage and you'll come across a box called Bless Chat, and you can send a message on that, Bless Chat. And we are broadcasting on, as I said, blessradio1.com. That's one medium. The other one you can listen to us is YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can listen to the recording of this show the next day, again on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space, Grail Message, and space again, and then the topic of the show, which tonight is Let Your Spirit Awaken. And of course, you can listen to our previous shows, recordings also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM / Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1. Now, Gregory, in the news today, we hear that Elon Musk has his company has implanted a chip in the brain of a human being, and what his wish is a wireless chip, and the idea is to communicate or connect with a computer and then help people with neurological problems, I think. And he's not the only one looking into this sort of advancement. If it's maybe it is and maybe it isn't until it is successful, we don't know. So that's what he's planning or doing, and others are doing like this as well. And so Gregory, that's sort of science fiction things that we hear about and now trying to become reality. And but then you wonder that is this right way to I mean, we already mentioned just in my earlier question how people can have mental problems and some real difficulties, and they seem to be insurmountable or very hard to deal with, and so obviously people are looking for ways to help. But then sometimes these controversial ideas are being introduced or implemented. I know it's not even trialed. It's just they're trialing, experimenting now, so we don't know what's going to happen. But you just wonder one day if this happens to us, as a normal thing to do, will there be an interference? This is like an artificial approach. Obviously, that's how medicine advances. We know that with medications and other things. But this one looks a new level of thing, to be implanted with some chip and controlling your brain somehow. So first question there, Gregory, is that if some invention like that is there, would that prevent the spirit from, communicating with his body? Because now somebody else is there with their own system that can, intervene.
The question which one would like to ask in that scenario is the question of generosity. But generosity on a selfish scenario. That means it would have been best for someone who is investigating to have implanted such chips within themselves in order to learn from it, rather than making use of others. It is not rocket science to know that someone who consumes a lot of alcohol, that the radiations that stream from him or her has an impact on the connection with the spirit. For in such case, you find the connection is loosened or some problem or the other. The same thing happens with some injections which are taken, which has an impact on the physical body. These are facts, so it is not new. However, the extent to which many scientists have now gone is to find the impact of these radiation waves, these radio waves, and how this information body by installing a transmitter or a chip in the physical body. What must be realized is that the vibrations, the radiation vibrations of the physical body, which is referred to, that needs to harmonize with that of the spirit, is of such high quality that what they themselves are now investigating, that may not have a meaningful impact. Doesn't mean it doesn't have an impact. It means it may not have a meaningful impact. In science, the possibility is there where you have some radio waves of very high frequency. These waves stream through the physical body without having any impact. There are some that stream through matter without having any impact. That in itself is a fact. But the extent to which what you yourself just described, how it turns out, one is unable to define precisely because one does not know which parts of the brain are affected. The human personality has the free will to examine, to proceed in a path which is detrimental to it or which is not detrimental to it, because it has the free will to choose. What it cannot do is the impact of that free will, which results in reciprocal activity, then in that case, it has to account for it.
Thank you, Gregory, what you have just said there. I just, as you were talking, I just remembered a bit more about this new story. I think what the idea is that Elon Musk is trying to develop is it's all like we mentioned about communication. So that wireless chip is being implanted so that they can connect with the computer, and then with that computer, the person, let's say he wants to say something, they have some neurological condition, like I say, where they're limited in talking or whatever the limitation happens to be. But with this chip, they can now declare or make something happen which they could not communicate before. So it's like it will pick up your thoughts, or if that's feasible to do that way, or some sort of, when you can imagine, I mean, it is being implanted in the brain, so we know that the brain sends out instructions, to the parts of the body to move your arm, to do something, to speak, and so on. So I think where the people have a particular disability or limitation, whatever it happens to be, this time they're thinking of we will use this in wireless chip, and in one way it's not a new. The chip might be the new idea, but what they're trying to do is not the new, because I remember, I forgot his name, this famous scientist who was, let's say, highly disabled. He couldn't speak, he couldn't move much, and yet they found a way for him. It wasn't his own voice, but he could speak. He
You are
could
talking of
communicate.
Hawking.
Yeah, Stephen Hawking, that's it. So he was able, and I felt that was a very good advance. I mean, they didn't plug, I don't think they plugged anything into his body, like implanted anything in his body, but he was able to communicate. And I felt and that was a very specially done for him. And then others, the help is coming with a similar tool that he used. Uh, Other people with the same problems are now using that and can able to talk and things. In fact, they've even, just to give like how fancy it can be, somebody's own voice has been recorded that let's say electronically, and then so that now when they knew he's going to lose his voice and lose his mind in some way, now when he talks or communicates through this device, it is his voice that speaks out electronically. So they really are making some advancements. I think what I'm saying, Elon Musk is because obviously when you think about these things and you think, oh, this thing can change your internal physical things, like they do surgery with a hip or something. If they start doing that with your brain, it's somehow you feel this is a delicate thing. You can't take chance on those things so much. But if it's an aid, like able to speak, because your mouth cannot make the words and so on, then this is like an external thing, but somehow they planted it into your brain. So I mean, everything has to be looked in this, again, as usual, in its context. So what exactly they're trying to do and how it impacts. It will have an impact, like you said, Gregory. Everything will have an impact, whatever you do. But obviously safety and dangers have to be considered in these things. But in a way, what we are talking here, Gregory, is there people are looking at a more of a physical issue, as if it's all a physical issue, and not maybe aware of the spiritual impact, which is the spirit. Is there any interference or disturbance or something in the spirit communicating with the body because of human beings, let's say new inventions that they're thinking about? So, yeah, I don't know if you want to say something about that.
There have been so many discussions on these matters. The example one gave is an old example in which the consumption of alcohol has an impact on the way people respond, even their walks, even the way they speak, even the way they're able to see. These are old age challenges which is in there. What is taught is that wouldn't it be better to prevent, to study, to find out the causes of some of these challenges and thereafter strive to eliminate through informed knowledge such that one does not fall into these scenarios? For there are many. Prevention, is that not better than cure? And again, until one knows precisely what these so-called scientists are doing, it will not be right to, discuss in details that which one is not privy to. For there are all sorts of exaggerations which go on, and because it's very helpful to elevate one's company, such that it will be said, oh, this person is doing this, is doing that. Of course, there are other ways of getting around it. Of course, there are other ways of ensuring that prevention is the way forward. For there are innumerable ways to fall into errors. But it should not be the endeavor of man to fall into errors and then try to come out making another error. How these things are, whatever is implanted, one is not sure. Therefore, one really cannot discuss much on that in which one has little, if at all, any knowledge of what they themselves claim to be doing.
Thank you very much, Gregory. I have one more question because we're coming to the end of our show now. Again, most of the show we've been talking about the individual person or spirit coming to an awakening. So what I want to ask, and of course, we mentioned earlier on the parents and teachers educating the child, but what about adults, Gregory? In experiencing life, is it right to admonish one's neighbor if, let's say, in quotes, one knows better or has something to say, which can be a good advice, you can say, to the neighbor, or is it to leave that each individual to go on their own journey and let them experience whatever trouble or that might lay ahead, So is it good to give advice or not? Spiritually speaking.
One sought, or if one seeks for advice, of course, people live in the same neighborhood, they have similar thoughts. As has been mentioned again and again, progress could be one for all and all for one. So it is helpful to support another with advice, but that must be advice which has been sought for. For otherwise, it will be a distraction on another when you impress on him that which he himself does not desire. For do you know if the neighbor wishes to have this advice? Just as if somebody impressed on you, when you don't need this sort of advice. But good neighborliness only means that there is one for all and all for one.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for that answer. Dear listeners, we've come to the end of the show tonight on the topic of Let Your Spirit Awaken. And I'd like to end now with reading from the foreword of the Grail Message, which is titled, For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I'm addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such, it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present-day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed-for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses ready-made opinions of the fool who uses extraneous aids for this in the form of ready-made opinions of others only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore, awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you're truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Apprushin. Dear listeners, if you want to get a copy of the Grail Message or want to get more information on the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. Gregory, would you like to say something to say goodbye to the listeners?
Wishing all listeners a beautiful week.
Thank you. Same from me, listeners. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time with another topic. I wish you a great week.